Hello, everyone. This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
Oh, baby. Mostly.
And they did come out at night because this
Night.
entire movie set is at night. The entire movie
Night.
came out at night.
Yeah.
Yes. Another banger slasher from
Oh, man.
the 80s has blessed our screen tonight.
I love
And
slashers.
this is why the 80s is like literally one of the best decades for movies ever.
Especially B movies.
Because they just
They understand.
They understand lizard brain stuff. They
Oh,
understand
man.
they understand that our lizard brains need to be appeased
Entertained.
and entertained for
90
minutes and then just go along our merry way. And you've seen the movie and it's good.
And it's fucking great, dude.
It's incredible. It's gonna be hard to pick best of the best this year because
We got a lot.
there's a lot of really good stuff here. So, man, sorry. Without further ado, we're reviewing tonight. Sorry, wow, I cannot talk. We're reviewing.
Yeah, that's the review.
Yep,
that's the review.
it. Yep, sorry. Okay. End episode. Okay, we don't need to do.
We're
it
not even
anymore.
gonna tell you the title.
So tonight we watched Night School.
Night School.
Just an.
It's a slasher. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Awesome little 80s / B movie slasher.
It's a beautiful looking movie. I love the setting. I love the fucking, like, slasher look. You get fucking...
The kill scenes are, like, really well done, too. Like, there's some cool stuff they're doing with, like, camera editing and, like, lighting.
It's kind of interesting, because a lot of this movie is, like, the aftermath of the kills, and there's one scene in particular that is
like
fucking...
the killings themselves aren't, like, the most unique, except for the very first one. They're not, like, super unique, but, like, you get to see how everyone deals with the aftermath and how they, like, the slasher sets up the entire scene.
And you get lots of cool locations.
Well, it's on location, so, I mean...
It's on location.
That's great.
You don't get a lot of slashers that are set in, like, the city. Like, they usually are, like, you know, out in the countryside or, like, a single location.
Probably easier to film in,
Or,
like,
like,
a rural area. Because
Or, like, the suburbs. But
in a rural area, I would imagine you don't have to deal as much with, like...
permits
or like people walking in and out of set and like all the noise that a city generates
But
and stuff like this one they didn't care. They filmed in Chicago.
Boston.
Oh, sorry, Boston, my bad.
It's on location
Yeah,
in Boston. And
in Boston.
Very urban setting, and I mean they fucking use it
Yes.
to the full advantage. Car chase and all.
Yeah, and it looks great.
There's a fucking
Every
scene at an
great.
aquarium, and it's like the actual aquarium that they have there, and they fucking got permission to film a goddamn slasher scene.
There's a chase scene through like alleyways.
Yeah, alleyways and like down like really like small streets that are just filled with cars. It's fantastic.
It's great. I mean, this just really well made. They didn't have to go this hard for a B movie
No.
slasher, but my God, did they! And the slasher himself looks really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's like this guy in all like all black, and this like black biker helmet, because they ride around on like a motorcycle to get to places. But every time they're like doing their scene, it's just this like all black person with like this black helmet. And since like it's all at night, there's always like lights, like blue lighting.
They do a lot with
reflecting.
like slow-mo of the slasher like slowly slashing at the screen,
And of course,
and it looks great.
any like great slasher, the weapon has to be like unique. So they have this like kind of like oddly curved like knife.
There's a name for it, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's unique.
So I guess that leads us into kind of. I mean, it's a slasher movie, so there's not like a ton of like really thick, heavy plot here.
No, there's a mystery.
But you don't need it. There's
No.
a mystery. I mean, it's basically your typical like all these killings are happening and a detective's trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Because
While these killings keep taking place, and we get like setup after setup of him investigating each crime scene, and eventually getting to
and little snippets of like the lives of the suspects.
So basically, what the setup is there's a string of murders, and what's happening is the murderer is decapitating people and putting their heads in like buckets of water.
In some
Or
way,
in some like submerging it in water in some way.
And
So
all the victims are their students at this school, specifically at night classes, and they've all been in this one specific class,
Yes.
this anthropology class, and there's a big thing with the teacher macking on all of them.
Because so it's weird that because every time they show the school, it's like they only show two of the teachers from the school, but they're both like macking on students.
As we find out.
And most of the are all the students women?
Yeah, it's an all-women's
It's an
school.
all-women's college, yeah. It's an all-women's night college. And like literally this professor of anthropology is like hitting on every single one and having affairs with like all the students.
While he's in
I shouldn't say all the students, but like most of them.
a lot.
Yeah.
But almost all of them are somehow connected to
Yeah.
him.
And all those women are the victims.
Yes.
They're all from the night school, and that's the connection, is like they're all from this night school. They all get decapitated, and all their heads get submerged in
in
some
water.
body of water.
And all we know is, he teaches anthropology. Specifically, he's very interested in tribal like rituals in
Right.
Papua New Guinea. You'll kind of find out where that all goes.
And he's specifically interested in headhunters,
Yes.
in the practice of headhunting.
We also know that he has an quote unquote assistant
Well,
who is like his long term,
yes, she's the main
his main biddy.
his main biddy, and he has a bunch of side chicks.
And she's not. You get, as the movie goes on, you do get a pretty heavy implication that she's not really happy about.
Well, at first she doesn't know about it, or presumably doesn't know about it.
We see the first time you see her, and she's like, she sees him like talking to this other girl, and he's kind of like, he's trying to like comfort her like after this like murder took place, but he's kind of like putting his hands on her and being very touchy feely, and she's just kind of like not.
We also know that like the surrounding area he has a reputation of sleeping with the students because all the women from the college talk, and they go to like the diner and like talk about him.
And there's a waitress,
And the
great character,
one of my favorites actually.
who's like always talks about him and like how he tells everybody that they're special, but he just wants to sleep with them.
Well, and he's trying to give the live-in assistant, like advice on like not dating him. Don't believe him.
what he sells
like
you.
he's a bad guy. Like, what are you doing? And so there's a lot there's a lot of stuff going on, but the main plot is just like investigating this.
Finding out who's
decapitating college students.
let's go through the murders. It's a
Yeah,
slasher
I think
movie,
it's
so-
I think it's a good step forward because we've kind of explained how the slasher kills their victims.
It's a slasher movie.
So now we get the beautiful. Because I mean, there's not really much to say in between the scenes. We get like just a bunch of talking, some like exposition of like why the slasher could be doing this, and like the detective like
character development.
yeah tries to like investigate a peeping tom, and like that doesn't go anywhere. He's just a total
It becomes
creep.
a red herring.
He's just like a total creep, and then you think he's the one, but he's not, and all that stuff. There's like misdirection, but let's talk about the death scenes, which are the main point of the whole movie.
The meat.
So it's great because like even the setup, like the first shot leads into the first killing.
Because it's like this woman on a. It's like a.
It's like a merry-go-round.
It's like
Not a merry-go-round. It's like a.
It's the kind that you have to like push.
Is it a merry-go-round?
I thought merry-go-round was the one that's like automated. And you like sit on the fucking like things. I could be totally wrong.
What the hell is it called? Why can't I? I mean, you know, I'm
I haven't been to a merry-go-round in a long time.
I'm very much an adult, so I can't
Yeah.
say I've been like,
On a playground?
yeah, that'd be kind of creepy. But yeah, so it's like that thing. It's a wheel on the ground that you push and it like rotates.
And it rotates.
Yes.
But someone has to like push it and like slowly rotates.
So this woman is waiting with this little girl, because she's like part of this, like,
She works there.
yeah, like a daycare.
It's a daycare, and it's getting to like the end of the night, so the little girl goes away. All the workers go away.
And she just like for some reason wants just hang out and like
She's just hanging out there, and we see motorcycle pull up. Someone gets off, walks down there, and like as she's on there, someone like stops the go around
she's
thing.
like, "What are you doing?" And then like
and they start
they just start like just making it go as fast as possible.
and then they take out the knife
You're just like, "Oh shit!"
and they start like putting it down, and then like when her head comes close to it, they like, lift it up. They're like playing the game with her, but then eventually we know.
And then like they bring it up and then just swing it down and it cuts away.
And it cuts away, and it's like the next day. And I mean, I guess with this movie, we'll also be talking about the aftermath of the deaths too. But in this case,
because the setup for the murders are like the main like horror element of the movie.
it's the aftermath.
Because like, you get to see like the like where the heads were placed and like kind of like how he just like
It's
how the slasher just like disposes of the body.
It's the gimmick.
Yeah.
Because the body's just like left there by like the swinging thing, and the head is placed in a bucket full of water.
Yes, and so that's our first indication that like the slasher moves the heads of the victims into some form of water.
They put it into some form of water, whatever it can be.
Because the detectives at this point also explained that there had been one more murder prior to this, and their head was found in like a
duck pond.
like a duck pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next one is it's the friend of the first girl.
Yes, because the detective goes to investigate, and he investigates the college and asks her some questions. She is kind of secretive and thinks
She
that
basically
maybe
says that she
just-
had an affair with someone.
she doesn't
older.
have any proof, but you can tell she's alluding to the fact that it was the professor that she was like her friend was sleeping with.
But she wouldn't tell her.
But she wouldn't tell her.
Because it's kind of
But the friend like kind of knew.
shameful.
It's like, oh, it's someone we both like knew.
Yeah, and it's basically it's someone not only we both knew, but someone like older and someone I wouldn't approve of
Yeah.
them having an affair with.
So she basically knew, but that's the only information she gives because she's kind of in shock, and the professor's being very secretive about everything because, you know, he's just saying like he doesn't know what's going on, like or why this is happening.
Well,
Yeah. So anyway, so now she's at the aquarium.
yeah, we get like a
And-
scene of it's like a diver in an aquarium where they're like, I mean, if you've ever been in an aquarium, you've probably seen this, but it's where the diver is like in like the big tank with all like the turtles and the sharks and everything,
Yeah.
and they're like feeding everything, and we just see like people walking by looking at it, and then eventually our killer walks in frame, looks at it, and then like walks away.
Yep.
So the woman gets out of the aquarium.
And she like she emerges and like gets out of the out of like her wetsuit and
She goes to like the locker room.
and she's in the locker room and she's I guess heading towards the showers, and before that happens we hear like a clanging on the metal gate that they put all the tanks in.
Yeah, and we just see like she just hears it, but then we see that it's the knife
slasher.
like
Yep. And it's a,
bouncing off
yeah.
the gate thing.
And then like he disappears after she goes to investigate it because she's like, "What's that noise?" And she goes back to the closet, and the slasher bursts out of the closet.
And bursts out and then starts like slashing at her, and then they're in like this.
So she runs away. She runs down the stair, like they specifically say 2 flights of stairs because like later when they're investigating it, they say, well, the slasher walked like 2 flights of stairs to dispose of the head.
Like to basically tell us that like they're going out of their way to do this.
Yes. There's some like ritual to it.
But she goes in like this like all white room, and it's just like she's like trying to like walk away, but he just keeps like stabbing at her, and we see like this all white wall just get like more and more covered in blood, and then like he slashes at her, scene end, and then you just get like a shot of a woman like screaming, and we just see the head sinking to the very bottom of the aquarium.
It actually looks pretty horrific. I mean, like, it's kind of insane because it's on location.
So it's on location, and they
actually
got permission.
were like, hey, like, we're gonna drop a dummy head into your aquarium. Is that
with
okay?
like all the stuff in it.
And they're like, yeah, that's fine. It even hits a turtle.
Yeah, like everything's still in there.
Like
They
a
just
live
drop-
like a live turtle. Like this dummy head just like bumps it on the head.
Yeah, and it's just like swimming right next to the dummy head.
And it's kind of creepy because they did this prop with the mouth like wide open in a scream.
Yeah,
But you only see like a
it's
side
off
of
the
it.
side of it. Yeah,
You don't see the full thing, so it looks actually pretty creepy when it's like floating down because all the hair is going
No,
everywhere.
it's
And
awesome.
You see like the mouth agape and everything. It's pretty creepy.
The scene after the next murder is the waitress.
I was sad on this one though because man, the waitress like she just wanted to help those.
She has all the
girls,
insight.
Okay, she knew that this guy was a piece of shit and wanted to let all those college women know
She always had a
that
sassy
he
comment.
was a total dick. And you shouldn't believe anything he says because he's manipulative and a manipulative asshole. We all need a friend like this. Okay?
She was super sassy.
I don't know why, but I really liked her character. I fell in love with this character.
But then
And I was sad that she had to be the next victim.
we got the best fucking.
It's great.
this
Because
scene.
it also... I hate that it's like... I was sad that the character died, but it leads to one of probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
It's my favorite scene in the movie
Just because of the setup, but we'll get there.
because we know like. I mean, it's like this like bar cafe that like all the college students go to, and like it's like the waitress and the owner is like this like again sassy like Italian guy, and then there's like these two like regulars that always come in,
Yes,
and
like,
they're,
right
like-
when they open,
and it's like these two like construction workers, and they're always like hitting on the waitress, but lots of like memorable little characters, but she's like closing up for the night.
Yeah, so the owner leaves because he's like, hey, just remember to like put the pot on the stove for tomorrow and everything, and like he just tells her how to close up, and she's like, yeah, I got it.
And so she goes in like the kitchen, and we see her get the big pot of chili, put it
She
on the
sets
stove,
it
and,
on the stove.
and the camera makes sure you see
Yes,
the pot of chili,
Mhm.
and then we see like a hand in a hallway, and it like turns the power off.
it's a hand in a hallway with a black leather glove. I wonder who it could be.
Who knows? It's Santa Claus.
So she goes and like tries to turn on all the lights and like can't figure it out, and then we get the slasher meets her in like the dining area, and she like throws chairs at it at like the slasher.
And yeah, but they're just like the person just like stabbing at her.
I love it because like the slasher even like breaks a mirror at one point, and you
Oh,
see
yeah.
her like reflection in the shattered mirror, like
Yeah,
backing up against everything.
but she goes like outside, and she's running outside, and she's like, at this point, she's just covered in blood, but she runs outside, like trips, and just keeps running down this like alleyway, and runs right into
Yep.
our slasher, and then we just get this like slow mo of them like raising their fucking
Now,
knife.
This is one slow mo I don't mind. It's actually done well because it's literally the slasher just slashing at the screen, but it's like this really like fluid motion, and it's like this.
Well,
like,
then you get like the light on the
blue
helmet.
light like shining on them. It looks great.
Well, we had a lot of cool slow mo in the 80s.
Yes,
There was a lot style.
I don't know. Like this, it's a very stylistic movie. Like,
Because again, there's not a lot of slow mo in this.
no, but it's where it needs to be, and
But
it's
it's
very
used-
it's stylish.
Well,
It is a stylish B movie.
and it just like after it like shows like, you know,
It like
like-
chops her neck, and then
we see like a shot of like the slasher holding her
The head.
head, going up the stairs to like the cafe, and then it's like the next day,
So the owner gets to the restaurant and like
and
opens the door.
a bunch of the chairs are knocked
it's all
over.
fucked up. He's like, "What the hell is this? What the hell's going on?"
And then the two construction guys come in and they're the same thing with them. It's like, what the hell is this? And
Well, they even mentioned something about like how they've been robbed before.
he's like, oh, you got robbed again? Like,
Yeah, this is like the second time this week and all this stuff. And so the two regulars go sit down and they're like, "Bring us something warm. Like, we're cold."
and then
you
the guy's
know.
like, fine, I'll bring you some chili.
He's like, "Be patient. Hold on. Just give me a sec."
And then we just get,
I love this scene because there's so much tension.
because you know,
There's so much tension because because right before this, you saw the slasher bringing her head up, and
it's in something.
her head submerged in something, because at this point, we've established it has to be submerged in something.
But it's great because like when the owner's like in the kitchen, we just get this like lingering shot of the big pot of chili.
Well, I also love this because it's like the pot of chilies, one of the pot of chilies on the stove, right? And then he goes to the fridge, and you think maybe he's going to open it and the head's going to be right there. So he opens it, and like, it's just another pot of chili. She's like, "Oh, great. The head's in the pot of chili." So he like sets it on the stove and turns on the stove, and you're like, "Oh, fuck. Is he like going to like boil the fucking head?"
And then we see like him like,
And he goes and serves the two regulars. Well, so he goes and serves the two regulars coffee while they're talking, and it makes a point to film the
pot,
the stew like bubbling. And
Yeah.
you're just like, "Oh fuck."
and he goes and like he grabs, pours the chili in like
Two bowls of stew. Yeah.
and gives it to him, and then they're eating it. They're like, "This is good," and then one of them starts like coughing.
Well, because you think like, "Oh my god, like the head's at the bottom of that fucking barrel." And they're just eating human remains.
But he's like eating it, and then he's like, ugh, ugh, and then
He pulls out a piece of hair.
like
and
a
you're
big
"Oh,
piece of
fuck."
hair, and then he's like, "Hey, you ever think of wearing a hairnet when you serve this?"
Well, the guy's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, let me go check that." So you're like, "Oh shit, here we go. Here's the big reveal, right?"
And then it's like this like this uncomfortable shot of like him slowly pouring out the chili.
And it makes it a point to show the entire like process. Like it shows him dumping the whole thing out because you think it's gonna be at the very bottom, but it's not.
And then he just like looks at it like, I don't know what's wrong. And then he like looks around some more. He's
Well,
like,
and I love it because he's like,
maybe there's something with the stock. And so he like opens a cabinet.
well, he opens the cabinet and like a paper bag like falls over, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
So
And,
it's a little after, because first he
Oh,
opens
sorry,
the
yeah.
cabinet, and it's like all the raw meat.
So you think he's gonna?
It's all the raw bloody meat, and it's like lingering close up on the bloody meat. And then
there's, like,
he goes,
There's a piece of cardboard, like a flap of cardboard up,
like-
and he like pulls it down.
and then like a head of lettuce just falls out, and it's just like he just looks everywhere.
So at every point they think like, "Oh, is this gonna be? Nope.
this it?
Is this it? Nope. Okay, where's the head? Where the hell is the head? We know it's somewhere in this kitchen, but we like it just like makes it a point to show every single
process of
possible
everything.
thing until we finally get the reveal of where the head is.
Because he is like looking at like, we don't see the water yet, but we see him like looking at the sink, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell?" And then he like removes like the plug to let the water drain. It just kind of stands there, and we just get this again lingering close up of the water, and it's just like slowly draining down.
Well, and then you start seeing the hair,
You see the hair,
and then you see like the faint outline of the
faint
face.
outline of like a feminine face, and the guy's like, "Oh my god!" And then end scene.
Yep.
It's like that scene is some like Hitchcock fucking like tension shit.
Well, it's like, where's the head? Like that. Let's play a game. Where's the head?
Yeah, and I just love that there's like there's like the people eating the fucking chili, and like you think it might be in there. It's just like it's so casual, but
It keeps the tension. It keeps the tension and keeps raising the tension like just a little bit by little bit, because they're like making you anticipate where the head's gonna be,
yeah,
but it's in nowhere you think it is.
until the
Because
very
it
end.
didn't show the sink at all,
No,
but it's showing everything else before it gets to the sink.
because the big one
and
is
it's great.
the chili. You think, oh shit, it's the fucking heads
I
in the
was
chili.
convinced it was in the
Yeah.
chili because they make it a point to show her taking it out of the fridge, putting it on the stove. They make it a point to show him putting it on the stove.
And the
heating it
hair
up.
that they find.
The hair, everything pointed to it being in the stew, but it was not.
Joke's on you.
Um,
Great scene.
The next one is the professor, the other
the student.
professor, and the student. Is that the next one?
So there's one of the students is like,
So there's a pretty long, I would say at this point, there's a pretty long break between murders at this point. Because they're investigating the peeping Tom at this point. They're
because
trying
he
to
was
figure it out.
employed
They're talking to the
at
professor.
the cafe.
They're talking to the professor a little bit more. We also figure out the woman that he's seeing long term is pregnant.
The professor's getting fired.
Yes, the professor's getting fired. There's lots of stuff going on. And we know the woman's pregnant and she doesn't know what to do because she's not going to abort the baby. And she loves the professor so much.
But he's got this thing.
But he can't stop sleeping around with women.
He can't stop.
Yes, so...
But yeah, he gets fired because of what he's doing. And it's like because this one of his students kind of complained to this, like, I guess she's like a higher up at this school.
Well, so one of the students comes forward and says she was like harassed by the professor, and she
Yeah.
doesn't know why she did it, and like, basically he took advantage of her, and like, they had sex and
So
everything.
he gets fired for this.
Yes, as he should. He's
And-
a fucking. I fucking hate this dick.
Yes. But he gets fired for this. So immediately in your head, you're like, oh, that higher up at the school is the next fucking victim.
Well, yeah,
And
and at this point, like, it's really making you think, like, okay, who could be the killer? Because at first I thought it was maybe the professor, maybe it's the woman professor. Who could it be? And like,
this is the peeping Tom.
at this point, you don't really know.
But you're pretty heavily leaning on it's either the professor or maybe it's the fucking biddy. But the higher up, like, he uses the
Oh
situation
my god!
to take
So everyone at the school is fucking.
is just macking on all the
Oh my
students.
god! They're all inappropriate. They're all disgusting.
It's fucking
I
hilarious.
can't believe they
Well-
actually. Both of the professors are just like huge fucking violating assholes.
It's amazing.
yes.
It's fucking incredible. Ah, so 80s. I
So
love it.
so she's like, oh, would you like to come over to my house?
Like, maybe you'll feel
tonight?
better with
Maybe
some
you'll
company.
Yeah, maybe you'll feel better and you can talk about it. And she's like, yes, I'd like that.
And then after like a bunch of scenes, we just get this like scene of like them on the bed, and it's like that higher up is now seducing that student.
And they're on the bed and she's like kissing her neck and is like, is this okay? And she like starts taking off her blouse.
And then right before they're gonna like get into it, phone rings. She's like, oh, I gotta get it. It's my office phone. So she goes down this winding stairway,
And it makes a point to show the student falls asleep on the bed.
and she goes down, and then we just get this.
And we also, I guess it's not important, but we also see the peeping Tom try and like peep in on them. And then he starts getting arrested by the partner.
But the higher up like walks in this room with the phone, and we just get this like static shot of
She's like, hello?
the doorway and the room, and then she's like got the phone. She's like, hello, hello, and then she like looks over, and
And the door closes.
the door closes, and then we just hear like a struggle,
We kind of see it bowing a little bit.
it bumping,
And then she like opens the door and you see her trying to get out. And,
but she's like all bloody now.
and she like grabs the other side of the door and like it's pulled back in and you see blood on the door.
And then like the door closes again, and then you just see like the knife like come through the door, and then the door opens up, and she's now dead.
And our slasher walks out.
It's fucking.
It's great.
It's
'Cause she-
fantastic.
like you just see her bloody legs like all like ajar in the like half. Like,
We also hear like a very faint like, kind of like, I mean, I guess decapitation noise.
yeah.
She's like a, and then the door like opens up, so you know what's happening. But then the student wakes up, and you just hear water running.
There's a sink turning on.
Yeah, you just hear water running, and so she like goes, and she sees like like bloody little drops
So
on
she
the floor.
gets up and she looks in the bathroom and there's like some blood and some hair coming out of the toilet.
It's a great image.
It's like a closed toilet and a bunch of hair is all over the seat and there's blood like smeared all over the
It's
side of it.
fantastic.
actually looks really good.
It's
like
fantastic.
The props department, damn, they
The
it
fake
looks so good.
the fake human hair is great.
It looks really like horrific. Like it looks like something you would never want to fucking see. Like
No.
you would never want to fucking open that toilet.
Yeah, but she opens it up
But she like turns off the sink and opens up the toilet.
and it's the head, and then she's freaking out. Slasher
And
comes
our
out
Slasher like appears right behind her.
and like puts her on the bed, and then
Yep.
and then I mean, I guess at this point that's the end of the
Those are all the
murders.
The murders, because after this, it's
There is one
pretty
more
much-
death,
Yeah.
but it's not a.
Now it's revealed who. Now we're gonna get to the where it reveals where the slasher is, or
'Cause,
or who the slasher is.
Yeah, because they. So the partner. So essentially, I just mentioned this. The main like detective, him and his like he has a partner on the force who's very like I don't know sarcastic, but they're like they have a great back and forth.
Well, you can tell they're friends, but like
There's a great there's a great banter between them.
Yes.
But the partner is convinced that it's this peeping Tom because he catches him outside.
That's
and
when he like starts to arrest him when he's peeping on the professor and the younger student, and then our other dude
runs into a like the killer.
Well, because he sneaks into the professor's house because he thinks something else is going on, and the slasher literally lunges at him on the stairs and runs out the door.
Yeah, so he knows that it's not the peeping Tom.
So he gives chase. He tells his partner like, "You're chasing the wrong, like you're like catching the wrong guy. Like we got to go after this guy."
Because at this point, he's already found out from a scene prior that like the professor is very interested in headhunting.
Yes.
And
So ritualistic headhunting where you put the head in water
because
to like cleanse it of its sins.
Yeah, because essentially he finds this out from the assistant who's like because they're together, and he finds out that they were both on this like trip to Papua New Guinea to like experience this because there was like all these photos of them with like skulls and shit, and basically she's the one who tells him that like they would cut off the head and submerge it in water. Cut off the heads of your enemies, and if you submerge them in water, you like cleanse them of their evil.
Yes.
You cleanse them of their evil, and she's very passionate about this.
So you're pretty like sure at this point that it is the professor.
It's one of them.
It has to be one of them because
They're both very interested in cutting off heads.
Yes. So he like goes after the slasher, and then we get a scene of the slasher like pulling back into the professor's house.
And like the door opens, and we're finally gonna get a reveal.
And so the professor comes down, and you're like, oh shit! So it's not. Oh no, sorry, no.
Now first,
So first off, it like they take off the helmet, and they're like wearing like a hood, and so they take off the hood, and you see long black hair.
and she like
And
unwinds
you're like,
it.
Okay.
And you're like, it's the
oh
woman.
shit! It's the fucking assistant.
And the professor comes out, and he's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Like, what have you done?
And she basically tells him like, "I like all those fucking tramps you slept with. I had to kill them."
Well, she's like, you wouldn't stop, so I had to make sure there was no one coming in between you, me, and our baby.
She's like, the family's sacred.
Yes.
Like, no one's gonna break the sanctity of our family.
Well, and she even like goes as far as saying like, if you sleep with any other women, I'm gonna have to kill them too.
Like, isn't that logical? And he's like,
Yes.
yeah, totally. So- it's fine.
And she's like, well, don't you know I love you? I'm doing this because for our family. I'm doing this for us.
And then like we hear like sirens, and she's like, they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me, and if they kill me, they're gonna kill our baby.
And he's like, I love you. I'm not gonna let that happen.
And
so
then it's just like,
he's like, if you go out there, they'll kill you.
because she starts going there, and he's like, no, they'll kill you. And then
it cuts away as she's like going out the door with the knife. And then we get a scene of like the slasher, like her
someone getting on a motorcycle,
and like driving away.
and we get a car chase.
And it's epic because they go through a bunch of alleyways. And
It's a bunch of like alleyways and like very like small streets. We get these like awesome shots where they like rig a camera to like the side of like a motorbike.
It's really cool.
It's like the very side of the motorbike, like next to the wheel.
It's kind of a short chase scene, but it's really well done.
It's very stylish.
They're like even one at one of the points, like the motorcycle jumps over like a
It just goes over a
street.
jump. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's in slow mo, and we just get like this fucking cool slow mo of like this all black person decked out, just going in a jumping. It's fucking great.
And so like they give chase more and more, and then finally the motorcyclist gets cut off at one point.
And they kind of cut it off, and so he turns around.
And they like turn around, and there's no point out. So like the motorcyclist just like hits the gas as hard as possible to try and jump over the cop cars, but crashes into the cop car.
And then we just see like the fucking some stuntman flying,
like flipping over and like flying onto a car, onto the detective's car, and then smashing down to the ground.
And then they like, they take off the helmet, and it's the professor.
Yep, and
he's broke his neck.
When the buddy is like, "Well, there it is. We caught him," and the detective's like,
"Did we
catch him though?" And because he knows,
he knows, yeah,
he pretty much knows at this point that it wasn't actually.
It's too convenient. Yeah, it's too convenient
because it was set up too easily.
But then, like, there's a funeral for the fucking professor. The only person there is
the woman.
And then as she's leaving, the detective's like at the fucking cemetery, and he's like,
"Is the ritual over?"
And is the ceremony over?
Is the ceremony over? Sorry, yeah. Is the ceremony over? And she's like, "Yes."
And he's like, "It better be."
Yeah.
Which double meaning, because he's not talking.
I mean, you knew why he was there to.
He's not talking about that ceremony.
He was confronting her about because
cutting off people's heads.
He's basically telling her like, "I know, and I'll come after you if you keep doing this." And she's like, "Yeah, it's done."
And then, like, our final gotcha.
This is the greatest gotcha moment.
Yeah, because there's two ways this could have gone, so I'm fine with it. Essentially, it's like he's like kind of bummed out, but it's like him at work, and he packs up. He's going home, goes down like the steps, goes out to the police station, gets into his car. And then just the fucking someone in the slasher outfit,
like a helmet, comes up and like
in the backseat,
like wrapping himself around the detective's neck, and the detective starts screaming and trying to figure it out. And like the buddy like pulls up the visor and starts laughing.
It's his fucking partner, buddy.
And then credits roll as they're both just hysterically laughing because he scared the shit out of his like buddy. And then there it is. There's the movie. There's Night School.
I fucking love this movie.
I really like this movie. It's fucking awesome.
This is
I miss movies like this. I miss just fun
90-minute
slasher movies where you can just turn it on, have a great time, and then just go about your day or night.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's fun. Like,
you don't have to worry about it. It's a one and done. Like, you don't have to worry about like a saga of any kind, or like worrying about like where the characters ended up, because it just wraps it all up in a little bow, and here you go. Here's your like little slasher movie for all of our slasher fans.
Yeah.
Here it is, a neat little package.
A neat little thing, and
full of great effects,
fun characters.
Great like lighting, cinematography is on point. The acting is actually really good in this movie. The deaths are awesome for like a slasher movie. Like, they're pretty well done. And
that's the thing about slashers, though. The deaths have to be good.
This one did something interesting where it's more important about like the aftermath, right?
The ceremony.
Like, it's about the ceremony. So like they're centered around, their main gimmick is the headhunting ceremony. So you get to see the after effect more than the actual killing.
Get the best fucking scene with the goddamn kitchen.
Well, that scene was great, and I thought like all of them were pretty set up pretty well. Like the one in the aquarium was really cool. Like seeing the head float down.
An actual aquarium.
Like, they went above and beyond for a B movie, and I really appreciate it because it looks awesome. The whole movie looks great and sounds great and is acted well, directed well. Like, everything's good.
Yeah.
It's a good B movie. Like, you're not going to be disappointed if you're a slasher fan. I guarantee you won't be, because it's just really cool.
Yeah, I miss this shit. I miss just simple.
I just miss like simple slasher movies. We don't get like any slasher movies nowadays.
No. Well, the thing about we talked about this with a previous review, but what I love about slashers is that like things have to happen.
there's always forward motion.
Because people always watch horror movies, and there's always like the common complaint with like bad horror movies is like, oh, nothing happened. Oh, it was pointless. It was a pointless fucking movie. Like, what I like is that with slashers, that's like by virtue of the film, the structure, that's not the case.
Well,
Things have to happen.
Well, they trim the fat, right? Because, like, I mean, slashers are always kind of like white knuckle.
Yeah.
Like, you're always, like, going at, like, a really fast pace. So the pace is always, it never slows down. Because a lot of times it's like this, where it's like you'll get the detective trying to figure out what's going on, and the slasher just going on a fucking rampage the entire movie.
Plus, like, all the
And it's basically like you were with the detective because it's a race against time.
Well, plus, the non-slasher scenes are still pertaining to the plot.
Right, because it's a race against time. The whole movie is a race against time. Like, the detective's trying to stop these murders from happening, or, you know, whoever is trying to stop these murders from happening, like, whoever it is, like...
Or if it's like...
You know, like, the teenagers trying to, like, get out, or detectives trying to figure out what's going on, what have you. Like, whoever the protagonist of the film is literally against the clock.
Yeah.
And so you're against the clock because all this shit is happening so quickly.
And plus there's that knowledge of like, oh, who's gonna live?
Right.
Who's gonna die?
Exactly.
And you know that people are going to die. It's not just gonna fucking be 90 minutes of nothing. People are gonna die. Things will happen.
Well, I have to like slashers where it kind of makes sense why the slasher is doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like there, you have your supernatural slashers,
which I love,
like Jason and Freddy and stuff like that. But even they have kind
something,
of like some motivation of why they're doing this shit, right? And it's better if a slasher has motivation.
I mean, ideally, yes.
I mean, because I don't know if is there any slasher where they don't have any motivation? They just
I really can't think of any of them.
There probably is, but
I'm sure we'll get to one.
But I do like the motivation because it means that you can kind of try and connect the dots yourself and be like, okay, well, well,
especially with something like this, because like with like, you know, Freddy and Jason, we know. Well, we know who the killer is.
This one's more like a whodunit slasher.
But with this, it's like you don't know because the whole point is that they're fucking wearing the helmet.
Yeah,
it's anonymous.
I think it was great a great decision to do that.
Oh yeah,
because it looks cool. Like the whole outfit just looks awesome. It's so simple.
It's so simple, but man,
it looks great though. I don't know, something about like a biker in all black killing people. It makes a good slasher.
It's very stylish.
Yes.
Every time it's on camera, plus it's always like at night.
Well, they're always like bouncing light off the helmet and stuff like that, just to make it look.
And
cool.
plus, like whenever they're holding the knife up, there's always like light bouncing off the fucking knife.
Yeah, there's always light somewhere. Like they were really good at like their lighting effects in this movie. They spent a lot of time. Yeah, they spent a lot of time setting up these shots. So, and you can tell there's craft, there's dedication here.
Oh yeah, there is horror slasher movie craft.
There's serious craft going on here, and I love it.
They could have just planted a camera and filmed, but
no, they set up every shot. They like knew where to put the lighting. They knew what to do with like everything, and like so it's a good. I don't know. It's a good stylish slasher movie.
If you're a fan,
I would say like
you
could do a lot worse. Like holy shit,
you should watch this.
Go watch Night School. It's fucking awesome. Now you can rent we through various means got an HD,
which I'm sure you can get somewhere. I mean, I'm guessing it's on Blu-ray.
Yeah, and then but you can rent it on Amazon. The only problem is the standard definition,
which I don't know how it looks.
It might look fine. I mean, I don't know. We didn't watch that version, so we have no idea.
Here's the thing. If you watch that one, I hope for your sake that it's like cleaned up, because the version we watched
is cleaned up.
It's great.
It's
a fucking crisp, beautiful looking movie. Like it looks how if you went to the theater in 1981. This is like how I would imagine it looks.
I would highly suggest tracking down the Blu-ray version of this movie.
Or if you can like rent an HD rip somewhere, by all means.
Maybe Vudu has one. I don't know. Just find the highest quality version of this movie you can watch, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. You probably won't be disappointed with the standard. You just won't.
It's still a good movie.
You won't get those like really good like lighting effects as well.
Yeah.
So
We'll get the beautiful cinematography.
Yeah, exactly. That would be my only suggestion. But I still think even if the standard version is the only version you can watch, go watch it.
You should watch this.
Especially if you like slasher
Oh
movies.
man, yeah, because this one, like, no one really talks about this one.
No, dude, I've never heard of this movie.
I mean, I know liking slasher movies is kind of unorthodox, but I don't give a fuck. I've just never fucking heard anyone talk about this movie, and I don't know why.
No, it's great. I think it deserves like a cult following because it's actually a really good one.
I mean, if you just want to see a stylish horror movie, like if you're just tired of the same old bullshit,
Yeah.
you want to see some style, some flash, some pizzazz in your horror film.
And just like really good effects.
You want to appease your lizard brain,
Yeah, appease your slasher lizard brain.
because this appeases my lizard brain in every.
There's a lot going
way.
on here, and I love it.
It's just like as soon as a killer shows up on screen, my lizard brain was just like, yes, good.
So I don't even know if we have to say this, but Shitty to Pretty, it's a 10 for me.
It's a 10.
Like, this hit all the marks.
It hits all of it. I mean,
It's entertaining as fuck. We didn't have to check the time once because it's just a ride. You just get on and fucking enjoy it for an hour.
it's an hour and 28 minutes.
Like literally, it didn't even feel like an hour and 28 minutes.
It's over instantly.
Yeah, and like
There's no fat.
it's great.
There's no fat. Like every scene in the film pertains to the fucking plot.
Yep, and then we get those awesome murder scenes.
And then you get the murder scenes. And it's great. And I mean, again, that fucking kitchen scene.
It's always weird talking to people who don't like. Have you ever had the thing where like you're talking to people who don't like slasher movies and
There's
they're
a lot of people like that, yeah.
well, they're like, oh, like why do you like just watching like people get murdered?
Like, why wouldn't I?
And it's like it's just entertaining.
You know why? Because
Like
this is like the
it's
only
not
genre.
Like I'm gonna go out and actually like watch people get murdered in real life.
I know.
Like don't make that connection.
Because slashers are the only genre of horror movies where no matter what, even if it's bad, things are happening.
Yes.
It's the only genre.
Well, and like it's kind of weird talking about it, but like it's like the art of the kill, right?
Yeah.
It's like how creative can you be with a guy who just kills people, right?
That's it. Because like you've seen horror movies so many times where it's like someone dying isn't, in and of itself, it's not interesting.
Right.
Horror movies have deaths all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like with slashers, you gotta add a little flavor.
There's like pizzazz. There's fucking like death. Like you have to have style to your death.
Yeah, like you have to think like, okay, where is it take place?
Yes.
Like, what's the weapon? Is there a weird way that they do it? Like, where do they put the body? Like, there's all these things.
How strong is your antagonist? What does he have any like supernatural powers? Like there's a lot of stuff going on in slasher movies.
Yeah, and then with
And
other
I
like,
feel like it's an underappreciated genre.
yeah, and then with like, I mean, if you're watching like a Friday the 13th movie, there's always that thing of like, oh, who's the final girl? How do they get away? Like,
Yeah.
because you know that there's gonna be a person who fucking lives and doesn't die. And I mean, and then with something like this, there's that mystery of like, oh, who is it? Who's the fucking killer?
Exactly.
There's a lot that goes into it. And I mean, because so many times, like, you'll watch a horror movie where nothing happens.
Right. Well, especially like ghost, like haunted house movies. Like a lot of times, like,
Dude, not even that. Like, I'm gonna name drop fucking Open House.
oh god,
That stupid Netflix movie.
oh my god,
Where it's just nothing happens. Nothing happens.
it's like the worst, dude.
And there's so many movies like that.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. There's like that found footage exorcism one. I don't even remember. It's like, but basically it literally ended with a fucking message on the screen telling you to go to a website.
Yeah.
Basically, you want to watch the end of the movie? Go to this website. Like, nothing happens. What I love is that, like, you can't do that with a slasher movie.
Stuff has to constantly be happening.
Things have to happen because the people who paid money to watch these movies in the 80s expected you to fucking put things in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know we're just going off, and it's like a PSA about slasher movies, but I
fine.
don't know. Like, I love slasher movies,
Yeah.
and I always will. They're
It's
one
comfort food
They're
for
one
me.
of my favorite genres of horror. They're probably my favorite genre of like the horror.
I'll say this:
Um,
every time Halloween rolls around, and if I'm ever feeling a little like down about the state of horror, or if I'm bored out of my mind, it's like comfort food. I know I can put on a slasher. I can put on Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Any one of them. Any one of them.
yeah,
The whole
or,
franchise. I can put them on, and it's
or
like
the first Halloween. Don't watch the other ones.
fuck the sequels. The first Halloween, like Black Christmas, the old one, like Sleepaway Camp. I can put on any of these movies, and it's like I have a great time
Yeah,
because it's 90 minutes. You're in and out, and it's entertaining, and no one. It doesn't jerk my chain.
no. It's just it knows what it is, and it does the job well.
It does the job well, and it appeases my puny male lizard brain,
Yes, absolutely.
and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I had to pop off for a minute because it's like slasher movies are kind of dead nowadays. You just don't see them as often. Like you get a lot of paranormal stuff now. You just don't get like fun slasher movies. Like the last one I saw, and it was actually pretty good. It was Freaky.
Is that really a slasher though?
Yeah, I mean, there's some slasher stuff in it. I mean, it's not like completely a slasher movie because there's a lot like there's some like supernatural elements going on in it. But there's some really cool, there's some like really interesting and unique deaths, and they do like a slasher-esque style thing.
Oh, I know the
So,
most recent good slasher. Will it was a Black Christmas remake.
oh, shut the fuck up! I'm turning the podcast off. Fuck you.
It's so good.
So fucking dumb. I watched that shit. You haven't.
We'll get to that eventually.
You haven't seen it. I've seen it.
Well, when we're like 50,
Okay.
and we're in 2019 or whatever
It's
the
gonna
fuck,
take a while to get to 2019, dude.
we'll get it. We'll get it.
I've
Mangus,
already seen it. I don't.
You'll portray yourself again one day.
Maybe when we're like 60 and get to 2019. Okay.
We'll be
So that's gonna be a while. Don't worry. I can already predict that like my opinion will not change on that movie.
No,
one bit.
it's not going to be one of those reevaluations for you.
But this is our PSA. Bring back slasher movies, please.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if
I
anyone,
want to see some more slasher movies.
if anyone wants to be like,
Halloween Kills is our last bastion of hope. If that's popular, just bring back, because the remake of Halloween was good. So bring back Halloween Kills, and
Hey,
that's it.
if any of you have
Sorry to
slasher
pop off.
recommendations,
Yes, please,
take 'em.
please. It's such a good genre.
and I'm going to keep asking because listen, we're in the 80s, and I know what's coming. There's going to be a lot of slasher movies, and each time I'm going to ask you, give me your fucking recommendations.
So sorry to go off on a tangent there, because we did the review like 10 minutes ago
It's
at this
fine.
point. It's fine, but we're passionate about
Yeah.
it. Please appease our lizard brains and give us more fucking slasher
If you can
movies.
give me a recommendation or something that I missed or whatever. I
Please.
don't even care if you think it's garbage. I'll probably like it.
Yeah.
Is the thing. I'm sure there's people who think this movie's bad, but guess what? Fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck that. It's a great movie.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, go watch Night School is the final thing I'll put in this, and we could fucking put a nail in this coffin because we've gone way too far off the fucking beaten path.
As George Lucas once said, I may have gone too far in a few places.
I think we did in this episode. It's fine
fine.
though. It's fine. Whatever. Anything to get to that almost hour mark, right?
It's improv, Will.
Yeah.
It's improv comedy.
Shut the fuck up. Okay.
I'm a regular Seth Rogen,
You know
baby.
what? Okay. You know what? For They Mostly Come Out at Night, this has been Will.
Oh, this has been Alex.
We'll talk to you all later. Okay. Bye.
Bye.